In this lecture, we're going to learn how to assign names to our routes. Throughout the development and lifetime of an application, you may find yourself changing the path for some of your routes. This can be for a variety of reasons, such as SEO or wanting a better structure. Whatever your reason may be, you will have to go to each component to update the links accordingly. Updating links in every component isn't scalable, especially if you have hundreds of them. A better way to create URLs in the application is by using named routes. Routes can be assigned names to reference them in other parts of your application. They can even be used to generate URLs. Adding a name to your route is quite simple. Inside the router file, we're going to add a property to the home route called name. This property will allow you to assign a name to the route record. I recommend using a short and relevant name. For this route, we'll give it the name home. Let's assign names to the other routes too. A route with a name can be referenced by its name rather than its path. We're going to update the links in the app to use the names instead of the path. Open the header component file. We'll start with the link for the home page. To use the name instead of the path, we'll need to update the to property in the router link component. We're going to bind it. The to property can be set to a string or an object. If we pass in a string, it'll expect the value to be a path. An object will allow us to instruct the component to use the name instead of a path. We'll pass in an object with the property name. The name property must be set to the name of the record. The name of the path for the home page is home. The router link component will generate a link to the home page. It'll search through the records to find a name that matches the name we set in the object. If it finds a match, it'll use the path assigned to that route. In addition to the name property, you can also add the path property. This property will let you set the path in an object. It's the same as what we had initially. However, by binding the property, you can have dynamic and complex values. There are some cases where you'll want to set additional values, such as query parameters. We're going to explore what those are in a future lecture. We're not going to add the path property. Names are much more scalable than using paths for creating links. In some scenarios, you may want to change the structure of your URLs. Anytime you make a change to the path, you will have to update the link in every component file that uses the same path. If you're using the name, you won't have to worry about this. You can change the path as many times as you'd like. The changes are reflected on all links as long as they're using the name, thus giving you more freedom and flexibility. Another reason for using names is that it makes your links more readable. You may have paths that are long. You can save yourself time from having to type a long path by using its name. Let's test if this works. Open the app in your browser. I'm currently on the About page. If I were to click the Home link, then I'll be navigated to the home page. Even though I'm not using the path, the router will still be able to create a link to the home page based on the name we set in the object. Here's an exercise before we move on to the next lecture. Try updating all the links we've created so far to use the name rather than directly inputting the path. The process should still be the same. We've already given the routes names. The last thing to do is to update the router link components to use the names instead of the paths. Good luck, and see you in the next lecture.